Hi, everyone. I'm here today with Ellen, who's recently graduated from the Life Design Bootcamp program. So, congratulations. We're very happy for you. And we've invited her today to share her story with us. And I'm excited to hear about your journey in working with Cheryl Ann throughout this program. So, first of all, why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
My name's Ellen Love. I work for Procter & Gamble as a senior manager in consumer and market knowledge, which means I do market research and insights type of work. I've been with P&G for 16 years and recently moved to Boston for my job, which meant we moved about 1,000 miles away from home with my husband and two small children in tow. So it's been a very eventful last 6 months of my life.
Fun. I've been there before too. So fun. So, where were you in your personal life or your business before you signed up to work with Cheryl Ann in the Life Design Bootcamp program?
Program probably about 4 weeks after we agreed to the move, and so my whole life was upside down, and feeling like we were taking on this big adventure, but there were a lot of things that weren't where I wanted them to be, and I was worried that it was going to sink us rather than kind of propel us in the direction we wanted to go. So that's kind of what was going on when we first found out about it. And then we waited until we had been in Boston for about 6 weeks before we actually started, just to.
Mhm. Sure. So, what wasn't working for you at the time when you started?
Um, uh, the list feels very long right now. But for me in particular, there were a couple of major things that were not working. One was I was certainly dissatisfied with kind of where I was at from a career standpoint, from a prospects and trajectory. Was starting to feel like I was having the same conversations over and over again. Um, from a personal standpoint, my health and wellness had been on the back burner for about for about 12 months by the time we got started. And it was really starting to actually impact my life in a way that I just didn't feel like I could deal with anymore. And obviously, you turn your entire family's life upside down. There was some strain going on in the relationships with, just kind of all of the interpersonal relationships at home were under a lot of strain. So that was had the trifecta.
Yeah. So then, what made you decide to invest in this program and start working with Cheryl Ann?
Was kind of a fresh start opportunity to say, okay, we're never going to have a better time than now to really define where we want to go and have, this be a time when we start working on it, as opposed to saying, maybe we'll try that in 6 months, because you'd think life's going to get calmer and it never gets calmer. So that was really, we really felt like we wanted to seize this opportunity to say, where do we want to be headed by the time we finish this, assignment Boston in 3 years, and make sure that we're really clear about that, so that we were forging our life together in a purposeful way and not just in a letting it happen to us kind of a way.
Sure, that's great. So, what was it like to work with her? I mean, how did it feel when you kind of made the decision? And then what was it like once you started the
Sure. So it was
program?
kind of equal parts nervousness and excitement when we first started. It was, kind of ready to get going, but also knowing it was going to be a lot of work and it wasn't necessarily going to be easy, and nervous that we were taking this on top of everything else that was going on in our lives. But as we went through the program, it was definitely, it was what I was looking for, which was the tough love when I needed it, and the reassurance that we weren't totally insane when I needed that as well. Which, I had worked with Cheryl Ann from a previous touch point at P&G, so I had known her and kind of had confidence that that was how we would be able to work together, and was part of why I advocated to my husband we really needed to make this investment together and make it a deliberate choice.
So then, what was your biggest struggle going in, and then what was your biggest breakthrough during boot camp?
I would say going in, it was really probably about how do we get clear on, the few things that we want to try to tackle, because the list just felt so long, and like nothing was working and you didn't know where to start. I felt like I had a little bit of clarity from a work standpoint, but all the stuff from a personal standpoint just felt like I don't know how to make this all come together, and I don't know that I can get clarity on where to start. From a biggest breakthrough during coaching, one of the things that really sticks out in my memory is getting really clear about what the financial goal was that we were striving for with my husband. And so we were able to kind of go from very numbers based, does it need to be this number? I don't know if we can make it, to kind of conversation to, it's about not having to make a trade-off between these two choices. Okay, that suddenly drove a ton of clarity into what do we need to do? What are the choices that are available to us? So that was probably the biggest breakthrough, that and just having the conversations, with my husband instead of it just being all about who's picking up who from where this week.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So what kind of changes have you experienced in your life throughout this process?
I feel more purposeful about what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, and I'm definitely much clearer about we're making this choice because of this. Yes, this is a pain in the butt now, but this is what it's in service of, which does just give a lot of peace of mind. Things are still very busy, and they're still very crazy, and there's still things that I'm trying to figure out how to work into the schedule. But it's also kind of given us a common language to say, okay, I'm working towards this, so this is why I need to ask for these things, or why we need to make adjustments to these things. And before, those conversations felt difficult to have.
Sure. So what are some of the things that you've accomplished during coaching that you're most proud of? Maybe decisions you've made, things you've gotten done, or changes that you've implemented?
Yeah, we've a couple of things, I guess, that we've done. One, like I said, the kind of our financial goal, getting really clear about that, and we've actually already started the work into that space, in a very we've hit some milestones that otherwise we would have been saying, oh yeah, we need to do this. Oh yeah, we need to do this. We've already gotten them done, and we're moving into the next stage of it. So having that even through the we did it through the holidays and through all of the craziness that happens there, and we still kept it moving, and it's we're on track with that one, which was when we had been talking about similar things, but without that sense of purpose or clarity in terms of what we were driving for when we were living in Cincinnati, and we kicked it around for 2 years in the maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't stage, and then ended up having to move. So I know it sounds like, okay, just moving on something may not be that big of a deal, but after kicking things around for 2 years and then actually getting into through the initial stage in 2 months, that's like a huge
Yes, I would say so. So what was your biggest aha moment?
There were probably a couple of them. One was just the realization of, you just have to treat it like work, and that may not be fun, but some of those same things that you do at work, you just have to do it. And so that whole feeling of putting a project plan together, and that's not really what I want to do with my personal life. You just kind of have to push that to the side and push through and do it, because you'll never get anywhere else. The other piece is the power of Cheryl Ann's principle on taking imperfect action. I'm definitely a perfectionist and one of those people that's like, well, I shouldn't even get started until I know I can do it right. And that has been, I've just seen that be transforming, even the imperfect action getting me farther down the road than, waiting for it to be perfect and right. And just seeing that kind of from a day-to-day standpoint has been a big aha.
Okay. So where would you be right now if you didn't invest in the program and didn't work with Cheryl Ann? Where do you think you'd be?
Not in a great spot. I mean, it would be, I think the communication with my husband would definitely not be in as good of a place, right? It would still be in the, like, well, are you doing this, and are we happy with this move? And nobody really wants to broach the subject because it's a tough thing to talk about. So I feel like that would still be there. There'd be some things with our kids that we'd still be kind of letting them run us over on, that we've been very purposeful about trying to reclaim time for the two of us and drive that through in practices on a daily basis. So, I think we would feel like we were just burning the candle at all ends, and just trying to survive being where we are instead of feeling like we're on track to thriving where we are, which is a very different thing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right. So what would you tell somebody who's thinking about working with Cheryl Ann and investing in the program?
I would definitely say, if you're ready to do the work, do it. But if you're not ready to do the work, it's work. And you come out in a much better place, but it's not something Cheryl Ann can do for you. So you've got to be ready to give it your best shot. And if you're ready to, she will push you on things farther than you thought you could go. And you'll end up in a much better place than you ever thought you could be. But, so that would be what I'd tell somebody.
It's beautiful. So what's next for you? What are you working on these days?
So what's next for us is starting to kick off a remodeling of our house, which is the biggest thing for our financial goals. So we've gotten very clear about what that is, and that is even though we've only been in the house 4 months, we're going to get started now and not wait until 2 years from now. So that's going to be a big piece, along with kind of continuing on the career track. But it's really for us about getting reclaiming our day-to-day time is what we're in the middle of doing now. So our time with each other and our time with our family with purpose, and planning ahead with that, so that we have that in place come the spring and the summer, and we're able to really enjoy being together in those spaces. So
that's awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think that's probably the big stuff.
Okay.
So it's been really fun.
Good.
And yeah, it's been a really good experience. It's been crazy and all kinds of everything, but it's been a really good experience.